How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Starting 11. It's been a little while since I've hosted one of these, so hit the like button first and foremost. 1,000 likes, you know what to do, people. Make sure you're subscribed, notification bell on. We're live for the match shortly as well, but this is about the Starting 11. And to be honest, there's not many Starting 11s across probably the last 12 to 18 months that we're going to have to debate as much as we're going to debate this one, in my opinion, with injury concerns, injury news, fallout from international break and so on. We're here to discuss it as usual. I've got the regulars in the building. To my left, I've got Frank back here. What are you saying, Frank?
I'm good, Turkish. Happy that international break is finally over, and we've got our Arsenal back now. So I'm happy.
Yeah. I see you playing a bit of ball as well.
I did. I had the privilege of playing with Joe Cole over the weekend, which was quite interesting.
One of a few.
So we had Joe Cole in there. We had Luke Trotman, who was on Love Island.
Yeah.
We had Jamal Blackman.
Yep.
We had Charlie Austin as well.
And you scored a goal.
I scored a
Someone
goal.
laid it on a plate, but you had to finish it.
So that was Luke from Love Island. So what I'll do is I'll give a bit of context behind it. So that was for a charity. That was a charity game called for Sound United.
Okay.
So it's not something I've spoken about a lot since it happened. But my girlfriend and I, we lost a baby.
Okay.
And it's essentially it's a charity for bereaved fathers and stuff like that. So they invited me along to play in the charity game. And it was a great privilege to play with some great players as well. So
no, big up you, man. Big up you, because listen, people go through things in life, and you found an output there, and all I can say is good luck for the next try.
Thank you.
You know, these things happen. I've been I've fallen victim to a similar circumstance. So big up you for doing what you're doing. Big up for the goal as well. And to my right, Sheroy's back in the building.
What's happening?
What you saying?
I was going to clap, but I realised it's you hosting.
No clapping, man. There's nothing to clap here, man. We'll clap the goals.
I know you don't like it. I know you don't like it. I mean,
we just clapped for Brentford's goal, but yeah.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I mean, to be honest, after what you were just discussing, my concerns about my fantasy team seem rather futile. So, I mean, that's all that's been on my mind recently. But it's a wonderful cause, man. What's the name of the charity again?
It's called Sands United or Sands Charity.
Big up that charity, man. If anyone's got a little bit to donate or anything to contribute, you just got the name from Frank, man. But yeah, there's been some early leaks online in terms of the team news, man. Certain things I wasn't expecting.
We Frank, he's one of the Twitter guys as well. So he's pulled out.
Listen, I don't actually know how accurate it is, but if it is accurate,
disclaimer,
it's quite concerning. Because Saka.
Yeah, Saka, but it's the one that kind of, without that news, he would have been the first name mentioned today, regardless, because there are question marks about Saka. Sheroy, let me start with you. How would you feel if in 15 minutes or just under 15 minutes, Saka's not part of the 11 or part of the squad? I think either or is a concern. But with Odegaard out, Saka is the main man. Some would argue he still is the main man with Odegaard in there. But yeah, what's your feelings like with Saka going into this game? What's your feeling like without Saka going into this game?
My only concern with games like this is that I don't think Bournemouth are going to come out and try and play us off the park for the entirety of the game, right? I think they're going to be quite disciplined. And in those sorts of games, you need your efficient players who, even if they're not having the best game, they step up with that moment of magic, right? Odegaard's one of them, Saka's the other. The players that will be coming in, if you're looking at, I don't even know if Martinelli's fit, for example. So if we're then looking at maybe like a Jesus Sterling wing combination, I'm not suggesting that these guys can't get the job done, but obviously I'm slightly less confident than I would be if I was looking at Saka and Martinelli. That's natural. But look, after the transfer window, there was a lot of talk about the squad, right? And there were a lot of people saying it was, I think you said 3 out of 10. There were a lot of people that were saying it was an 8 out of 10 because of the acquisition of players like Sterling. Talking about how Jesus hopefully can return to full fitness and contribute in a way that he couldn't last season. If there was ever a moment, and if there's ever a moment to use your squad, it is a game like this. And I'm just thankful that this might come back and bite me in the arse. I'm not saying it to be derogatory, but I'm just thankful it's against a team like Bournemouth. Yeah. And hopefully we can recuperate, because God knows next Saturday we'll need something a lot closer to a full strength team. Sunday even, sorry.
Frank, win with Saka, win without Saka. Is that what it is for you, or does it complicate things?
Yeah, again, I don't want to, touch wood. I think this is definitely a game, even without the likes of Bukayo Saka, that we should be winning convincingly in a way. And look, this is if he is out injured, like the reports are saying, especially if it's Martinelli as well. I think this is the time for the likes of Raheem Sterling and Gabriel Jesus to come in and prove a point. Gabriel Jesus has been out of the lineup for a reason. He's not really cutting it at the moment. So if we are without the likes of Bukayo Saka, this is his opportunity to come in, maybe get himself a goal, get himself an assist, make a name for himself essentially. Get back into form essentially. And again, for Raheem Sterling, we haven't seen him start in the Premier League. He's one definitely with a point to prove. It's not particularly worked out very well at Chelsea. A lot of people saying he's on the decline. I don't know how how serious that this potential Martinelli injury is. But we'll see. So we'll see what you can offer if
Frank,
it's going to be the case.
Let's stick with Saka for now, because
Yeah.
the thing is, you mentioned Martinelli and there are further doubts, but let's just say it's Saka out. Who steps in for Saka? Is it Sterling? Is it Jesus? Who's the number one backup on that wing?
I think for me, it has to be on that side. It has to be Gabriel Jesus. You know, we've seen him do it at Arsenal. We've seen him do it at Manchester City as well. He is more, for me, suited to that right-hand side instead of Raheem Sterling, who's one that prefers to cut inside and, you know, go for goal from there. So if it was up to me, it would be Gabriel Jesus. However, I wouldn't be against the idea of seeing Raheem Sterling out on that right-hand side as well.
I think I agree, but Sheroy, what's your thoughts? Because Jesus, although hasn't started there this season, I don't think he's come on there this season, but he's underwhelmed so far this season. But for you, if it's just Saka out in that front three, who would be stepping in for Saka?
Who would I want, or who do I think Arteta will play?
Both. Who do you want first?
I would rather see Jesus on the right-hand side, just because I've seen, this is going to sound really elementary, but I've seen more from him in an Arsenal shirt, albeit historically, than I have from Sterling, right? And I think if we're talking about them operating at the peak of their powers and who I would want to get to their absolute best, the quickest, I'd say Jesus over Sterling, because there are certain moments with Jesus where I've looked, I mean, look, he was integral in getting us back to where we are now, right? And he's one of those players that used to get me off of my seat. So I want to get him somewhere close to that form. But if we're talking wholesale rotation in that front line, and you've got something like a Jesus, Sterling, and obviously Erdegaard's not there, so you're looking at Trossard, I then don't really want to see much tinkering with the midfield or the back four, because you don't want to have that much tinkering in all areas of the pitch, right? There was part of me that was thinking maybe it could be a Marino in a game like this.
Yeah.
But if we've got 3 rotated players in that front four, I would much rather stick with what we know in midfield and so far as possible, man.
Yeah, of course.
Let me throw a curveball in there, because a few people in the comment section, I see Alua, Lumade, and Yuri and Timber as well, saying Ethan on the right wing. James threw that idea into the hat when the news of Saka potential injury, potential doubt for this game came in. Frank, is that an option? I know we are kind of used to seeing Nwaneri in a more central role, but he has the attributes to be able to start on that right, cut in a little bit and cause problems.
No, of course, absolutely. And look, he's very versatile in that sense. He can play up front, he can play in that midfield position, and he can play on that right-hand side. He's obviously a naturally left-footed player. So I could see him, if that is going to be the choice, and I'm not saying he's anywhere near the level that Bukayo is right now, but playing a similar role in the sense that the way Bukayo Saka plays, going down that right-hand side, cutting in when he needs to, going on the outside when he needs to. So it's something that I'd be open to. I just think that I don't think Mikel's going to do that, obviously, but I also think there's better options that we have available than an Ethan Nwaneri. I wouldn't be against the idea of Ethan starting in some capacity, because I believe from the cameos that we've seen him in, and obviously it was a good game that he had against Bolton. Admittedly, it's only Bolton, I understand that, but I wouldn't be against the idea of having the likes of Ethan in the lineup.
Yeah, just before I go to Sheroy, you said Jesus over Sterling, but you're saying Jesus over Nwaneri as well. If it is a choice to make, you're still going with the Jesus.
Yeah, 100%. If for me, if Ethan is going to start, it would be in that central position, but it is obviously a position he can play if we do need that option.
And you, Sheroy? I mean, I guess if we throw the Martinelli doubt into there, and then you're a bit more stretched for options. I mean, I guess we're all saying Trossard starts in the 10.
Yeah.
With how we're talking about the wings and the depth. But if Martinelli's then out, does anything change with Nwaneri? Do you think I looked at Southampton and Leicester as ideal games for both Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly to potentially start, and us to be able to get the win regardless. But they wasn't relied upon. So I don't see how Bournemouth away Arteta's going to do it, but I guess depends how stretched we are, because if Martinelli is added to that list with Saka, then our bench will be looking awful light if we do start everyone.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I'm looking at it the way I think Arteta's going to look at it, right? And you're talking about bringing in someone like Raheem Sterling, even though I know that I think Chelsea are bearing a fair bit of the wage, we've still got him on around 6 figures a week that we're paying, right? You're looking at Jesus now. Jesus is someone who was brought in to be the starting 9, talking about how he wanted to be the striker. So if these guys aren't making a Premier League starting lineup when our first choice wingers are out, and they see that a kid who's breaking into the first 11 or the first team squad is starting ahead of them, I just don't think Arteta is going to take that risk in terms of the psyche of those players. Because as I said, he knows that no matter what happens, the trajectory of Ethan Nwaneri can be managed quite well. Whereas Sterling and Jesus are players that we need to sort of force into some sort of form right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they'd probably be both ahead of him in the pecking order, man. And also, I just think that in the Premier League, in a game like this, on an away day, where it may not be straightforward, it might sound cliche, man, but I think it's better off to start with experience. And then if you find yourself in a position where you can then look at the youth,
What a goal!
then do that, as opposed to relying upon the youth to get the job done. I'd much rather rely upon the experience that we're paying good money for. And then if we get ourselves into a position where we're 2 up, 3 up or whatever, and there's a bit of time, then we can bring Ranieri in. And it's not as though we don't have games coming up against the Preston, for example, where he can't shine. We don't. I know he's a brilliant prospect. I know he's looked like fire when he's been on the pitch. I know we're all gassed about it, but in the same way we credit Guardiola for the way that he managed Foden, and Foden eventually, with a lot of patience, ended up being the player of the year last year. There's no reason as to why we shouldn't be doing the same with Ethan. We've seen it go wrong way too many times with young players historically, and I don't want us to make the same mistake with him.
Yeah, I agree with that. While Sheroy was talking, Garnacho just scored for United.
Great goal as well.
Great finish.
Great finish.
Yeah, cross into the back post. Great finish.
The week that I take him out of the fantasy team, he wants to score goals like that. Heartbreak.
Well,
I don't know why you had him in your fantasy team to begin with.
Well, that's why. There you go.
Listen, the Arsenal lineup might throw a lot of frustrations with people's fantasy team out there. My fan team as well this week, who sponsored the match preview. I mean, I had Saka in that one as well, so it's not looking good. On another front that is looking good before we move on to defence. I mean, Marino's came into the side just before international break. He's played for Spain in the international break. Apparently looked good in those games. Did either of you entertain starting him in this one, or from the conversation so far, I get the gist that it's Partey, Rice, and Trossard for both of you?
Yeah, most likely. Look, I know you're the host, but I think the people want to know what you think about this lineup as well, man. And I know you've been excited to see. I know you've been excited to see Marino coming in, right? Because what was I watching? I think it was the live with you and Robbie, right? Where you were like, listen, the transfer dragged out, then the injury kind of dampened that transfer a bit, but now he's fully fit, and. Seems like he had a fair few minutes in the international break, and I didn't watch it, but it sounds like he played well. Yeah. Is this a game where he starts for you, given what the rotation might be in the front four?
It's not, but he starts against Liverpool for me.
Okay.
So how we get him ready for that Liverpool game is up to Arteta, in my opinion, with whether he starts him today or starts him against Shakhtar. I do see he came. I think we all know he came in as a start. He comes in as a start in the because he's the only natural 8 we have.
No, of course. I think the plan would have been, obviously, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure the plan would have been to have Rice in that holding position, Marino in the box-to-box, and Ødegaard as the attacking option. The biggest question that I've got is, ideally we want him. I agree with you. I think he should be starting against Liverpool, and I think the option that we have to get him fit for a game like that would have to be the Shakhtar game, because I don't see any reason why we would just kind of, funnel him into the team. Everyone's playing pretty good. Trossard's in some really good form, and it's good with Trossard now because he's doing it while starting. So we've got Trossard in really good form right now. Thomas Partey's not doing too bad. Well,
he's doing really well.
Is immovable.
I think Partey's doing really
well.
Of
course.
This is where this whole Marino coming in as a guaranteed starter thing for me. I understand that he's our only natural 8 in that position on the left-hand side, right? But if we're doing that, it seems as though everyone's immediate conclusion is that you drop Declan Rice into the 6. But given Thomas Partey's form in recent weeks, and particularly if he replicates it today, I'm assuming he's playing, he's not necessarily the easiest guy to drop either. And I know that coming into the season we were talking about you're going to have to manage Partey's minutes, and now we've got 3 games inside 8 days or whatever it is, right? But what do you do? Do you drop the guy that's in form? Do you drop your £100 million signing?
I think you can.
I mean, it's a good problem to have, but I don't think it's as straightforward as Marino comes in, Marino starts.
We're about a minute away from the official lineup being released. I have got something considered as a strong lineup, but we've also got a message in from Cecil that it stated Saka didn't come off the team bus, nor did Yuri and Timber.
Yeah.
So I guess whilst we wait imminently for the starting 11 to be released, I won't name the one that I've been given just in case, because we are less than 30 seconds away. But, in that position, I guess Ben White, Arteta spoke about him being pretty much ready. But he did say similar about Timber as well in terms of their progress in their respective injuries. So I guess we're not. Are we overly concerned about defensive injuries at this moment in time, considering how stacked we are?
I don't think so. Obviously, I don't want to wish anything on Yuri and Timber, of course. Get well soon, Yuri. But I don't think it's worst case. I don't think we're in a terrible position if he is out today. Obviously, I think the natural choice there would be, especially was Yuri playing on that right-hand side at the moment as well, would be Ben White. I don't think necessarily Ben White had put a foot wrong. That might be slightly, favourite.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And it's the official lineup is out.
All right,
It is
let's
out.
go.
So
Let's
it's
go,
how
let's go.
Arsenal Twitter released it. Raya's in goal. I think that's the one that there was no
Shock.
debate about. Saliba, Gabriel, similar, no debate. They're starting centre backs. On the left, we've got Calafiori starting, and on the right, we've got Benjamin White back into the side.
It's a good back four, man.
Yeah,
it's great.
it's
It's
a
a very
back
good
It's a
back
great
four.
back four.
It's a very good back four.
So that, I mean, if Ben White didn't progress as well as he has done to make this one, then we would have had a problem
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Tommy out, Timber out, Ben out. But it is what it is. Moving into midfield, it's Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, and Mikel Merino makes his debut.
Really?
Yep. Mikel Merino makes his debut.
Okay,
and
right.
You might understand more when we go to the
Okay,
front three with
I know what's
Havertz
coming.
up top, Sterling and Trossard either side of Havertz. On the bench, there is Martinelli. On the bench, there is Jesus. Zinni returns to the bench too. Obviously, Jorginho, Nanieri, Kivior, Luis Skelly are there. But no Saka on the bench, no Timber on the bench.
Interesting.
And just to run through the lineup again, Raya's in goal. White, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori make up the back four. Rice, Partey, Marino, the midfield three. Havertz up top with Trossard and Sterling either side. Initial reaction, Sheroy?
I don't.
You look confused. So let me give you this.
I'm trying to figure out what that looks like. I mean, so we've got.
I mean, the midfield is is struggling in creativity there. Already.
Partey, Rice, and Marino.
Yeah.
Who's the attacking option there?
With Trossard, Havertz, Sterling. Is that's the three? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm assuming.
I think there's just going to be a lot of in-game rotation. What
Yeah.
I'm trying to do now is probably a futile exercise because I'm assuming that it's Havertz up top, maybe Trossard in behind, maybe Trossard on the left, maybe Mourinho. I mean, I think there's just going to be so much in-game rotation now. I just hope that given they've had an international break, this is something they had worked on well before that because they haven't had a long time to work on this and this isn't the usual team dynamic and the team balance.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think this looks like?
I think
It looks like a struggle and this is why I said we're light. And
Yeah.
by struggle, I mean I'm still confident to beat Bournemouth.
Yeah.
By struggle, I mean it's hard to get an 11 there that has everything we need at the moment with the injuries we've got. And I think that's what the lineup kind of tells me, that midfield three. I mean, the thing about Bournemouth is I guess their best hope comes in midfield or their best chance comes in midfield for them.
Yeah.
Because their attack hasn't really set the world alight. Semenyo is the only one. Clivert and Evan Nilsson, left much to the imagination so far this season. So midfield is where they're going to try and win the game. But we've got a unit in there at the very least, Frank.
Absolutely. And I think what's weird here is I personally believe, and I don't know if anyone agrees with me here, is I think we might be looking at potentially Declan Rice as that attacking option.
I think it might be
the
Marino.
midfield three.
I think it might be Marino.
I can't. I won't lie and say I've seen a lot of Marino. I don't know the kind of midfield. Obviously, I know he's more of a box to box. But in my personal opinion, if you look at the three going forward, I would personally say that Declan Rice is the best going forward.
I think
So maybe we could see him.
We're 2/8s now. I think it's a 6 and 2/8.
Yeah.
That's that more than we've seen 6 and 2/10s before. We've seen 6 and 2/8s with Pep. I think that's what we've gone with today, with neither really
Possibly.
excelling in the attacking third, but both can do something in the attacking third. I like Marino a lot. I'm intrigued to see him today with that added attacking emphasis because there is that today for him. And when we consider he's the one coming in the 8, I think there's a lot said about him also being able to play the 6. It'll be nice to see him show his technical ability because he is technically a very good player.
And I think given that he's technically a very good player and it looks as though we're going to have to let Trossard occupy the left-hand side, that's why I do think that he's going to end up being the guy that bridges the gap between the midfield and the front line, maybe playing that slightly more advanced role in front of Partey and Rice, because I don't think that, given what's happened with the front four, Arteta's going to want to interrupt that central midfield balance too much. And if you're doing that and you're playing someone like Rice in that 9.5, 10-ish space, then you're also changing the centre of midfield, right? That's why I don't think it's going to happen. But look, man, what did Arteta say that one game? What was it, like 76 rotations or formations in a game or whatever? we can sit here and try and pigeonhole players and try and figure out what it's going to look like. But one, we have different setups and different formations on the ball and off the ball.
Yeah.
That's been the case for as long as I can remember under Arteta now. And two, we adapt to the game state the way it is. What's their lineup saying?
Yeah, I've got their lineup here now. And apologies, people, because I've got it in number order. And I hate how they released this on Twitter. I feel like they should just do it in the formation.
they
But
should.
in number order, aside from the goalkeeper, who's obviously Kepa in goal, number 13, we start with Kirkes. And then we have Cook, who I know is a midfielder. He's their captain. Senesi, Scott, Evan Nilsson starts, Dango, Tavernier, Araujo, Semenyo, their star player, and Zabani. So Kluivert's on the bench. Enes Ünal, young Turkish striker. I say young, not so young anymore. He's on the bench. Sinisterra's on the bench. Brooks on the bench. Christie, Adams, Smith. So a few names that, ring a bell. And on that starting lineup, I mean, Semenyo is the one that I guess we all agree is the one to look out for.
No, absolutely. But he's on the right-hand side, isn't he?
Yeah.
He'll be on the right-hand side for you. I think Ricardo's got him covered.
See,
It's a good test.
I'm not. Please, before anyone goes buck in the comments, I'm not cussing out Calafiori here. All I'm saying is there has been the odd moment where he's been a little bit too tight to a player who's got
Like
that sort of level of power like Semenyo and can get him behind, and his recovery pace didn't hold up. I don't know if you remember what Ashraf Hakimi did to Calafiori. It looked like a motorbike against someone who was on a little scooter, bro. It looked bad that day, right? And we all saw what happened for the City goal too. That's where someone like a Marino, someone like a Gabriel coming across might need to help out. That if we're talking about that being their strength, I think if I'm looking at that back four, from what I know of them, he's not a weak link, but I'm saying that in terms of his one-on-one defending, he's the only one that I would maybe be concerned about given who he's up against.
Yeah, I see him more as a centre-back. But
Yeah, definitely.
The thing about him is, especially when you play for Arsenal, a big six side and whatnot, the magnifying glass is always on you. So those moments are magnified. In a 90-minute performance, he had 2 moments against City where he kind of, Savio kind of got the better of him. Southampton, I think 2 moments against that young winger. I forgot his name. No, it's not Harwood. But basically, that young winger got him, and then the Hakimi. So there's been moments, but overall, he's been solid.
Yeah.
It's just that Semenyo is a type of winger, again, to have those sort of moments where if you get too tight, he'll spin you.
Yeah.
If you're too flat up against him, he'll cut in, and So for me, and cutting in will put him on Calafiori's weaker side. So for me, it's a big test for Calafiori. He adds an awful lot in the attacking phases as well. So it's just an area with Gabriel there as cover. I'm still confident. I think you know how to mark Semenyo. His left foot is the stronger side, and you stop him cutting in. Easier said
Show
than
him onto
done.
his weaker side.
Easier said than done, but I'm pretty confident. I'm excited about Ben White starting as well, man, because I feel like his name got not disrespected in Timber's come up, but people were suggesting that he might be now a backup or a rotation option when for nearly 2 years I put him top 2 right backs in the league.
He starts for me even if Timber's fit, but that's because I played Timber on the left in my favourite back four.
Same.
That's the way that I'm looking at it right now, and that actually goes against what I thought at the beginning of the season. I thought the Calafiori walks in and starts immediately, but the way that Timber has come back this season and looks so comfortable on both flanks, right, it is absolutely incredible. And I'm hoping that Ben White on the right-hand side hopefully gives us a little bit of rhythm going forward, because obviously Saka's not in front of him, so hopefully he can sort of make those overlapping runs that we're used to and see what comes of it. I mean, look, in a game like this, you said you were concerned, right, in terms of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
When we don't have that creativity from open play very often, it's a set piece that bails us out. One of our key set piece deliverers is Bukayo Saka on that flank, right, and we've lost that too. So it'll be an interesting one to see how we deal with
Who
this.
delivers the balls from that side? And if the preference is in swinging corners, Frank, left-footed players we've got on the pitch: Havertz, Marino,
Trossard.
I think Trossard will take him.
Trossard will take him, but he kind of struggles with the corners, doesn't he?
I
I think there's been plenty of times throughout the season that we've not seen him beat the first man. So that's the only real concern for me.
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
But looking
one.
at the bench, I mean, Nwaneri, Martinelli, Zinni's back on the bench. I'm not too sure, what was up with him, but he's been out with injury
Well, at least
recently.
he's back though, because he's another person that can help unlock a resolute team. That's good.
Yeah, and listen, Shakhtar with Liverpool coming up round the corner.
Yeah.
Calafiori's played an awful lot of games recently for Italy as well. You want to keep some players fresh. It's good to have that level of backup.
Yeah, for sure.
Readily available. If there's anything to change in this game, I mean, let's say it's a game similar to Southampton where 60 minutes in we're struggling to create clear-cut opportunities and we need something to change up. Who are we relying on that subs bench, Sheroy?
Who changed it against Southampton?
What, off the bench?
Yeah.
Off the bench?
Good question. Against Southampton.
I just remember Saka, but...
Did Martinelli come on and kill him?
Oh, yeah, he got the... Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And
he's on the bench today, right? So if you're looking at the 60 minutes, someone who hasn't necessarily got a full 90 in them, he's a wonderful, wonderful impact player. And I'll be honest with you, man, I love the way this guy's reacting to having a little bit of competition and the odd naysayer here and there, right? I know it's only been 2 or 3 games. I know it hasn't been against a Liverpool, a City, a Bayern, whatever but he's reacted the right way.
Absolutely.
There are so many players that could just completely go back into their shell look all at sea in front of goal, but he's come on and he's changed the trajectory of games. And this might be another one where he needs to do it, man. Think about the amount of injuries that we have, and we can still field a player like Martinelli on the bench. That is a good thing, you know. So we're not going. The thing is, we can have this debate all day. We're not going to know until the end of the season whether we're light or not, because you can look at it and say, yeah, we're light because look at the lack of creativity that we have now in the starting 11. But you can also say, yeah, but bruv, we've got an injury list that's like 6 or 7 long when it comes to players that all of whom have started in the first 11, and we can still field a team that's strong enough like that with a half decent bench. So it's two sides of the same coin. We're not going to know until May.
We're not. You're right. And even then, May we might not know because you know Arteta's shown that, in my opinion, back against the wall, he can pull things out. Because, you know, I thought we was going light against Tottenham without Rice and Odegaard. What did he pull out? 3 points.
Yeah, Tottenham thought that as well, didn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people did. And then City similar.
Through. It's a goal.
City similar, yeah. Man United have looked like they've taken the lead.
Yeah, Rasmus
Haaland, little dink over the keeper. Question marks about offsides, but I guess VAR will sort that out, or try to sort it out.
That's all right. Ten Hag in, man. Ten Hag.
So Martinelli for Sheroy, one man off the bench that changes the game in attack for you. Is it clear Martinelli? There's Jesus there. There's Ranieri there. There's Zinni there. I guess that's been used to aid the attack coming on as left back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree. I think Martinelli is the man coming off the bench, and I think we've seen this in the past with Gabriel Martinelli. Obviously, I know it's potentially injury based, but we've seen him come off the bench in the past. Especially you look back at a couple of seasons ago when we dropped him for that game against Villa. He was out of form and stuff like that. So I think he's coming into form at the right time. And you know, getting back into form, Martinelli coming off fresh off the bench is something that could be scary for Bournemouth. Absolutely.
I think we're all shocked in some way about Merino starting. Me probably less so, because I do think that, you know, by Liverpool he needs to be starting. So I expected one of this or Shakhtar to be his game. But what does this say for you? I mean, Merino's straight in now. He's ready.
I haven't got any objections to it. I just didn't think that this would be the game. Look, we've signed him for a reason. We signed him to start. So I'm glad that he's finally getting his opportunity to start in the league. Same for Sterling, and you know, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get out of it. I'm guilty of it, but whenever I talk about Manchester City's strength, it's because no matter what combination they use in certain areas of the pitch, it is a starting combination. And they look at their squad as a bunch of players, a bunch of first 11 players that can jump in at any moment, bar maybe one or two. Whereas for us, and I think it's because of where we're coming from right now, we look at who's in the starting 11 and who are the ancillary players. But I think when you've got Partey, Rice, Merino there, you could, in theory, be happy with any combination depending on the opposition. The shock for me is that all three of them are playing today.
Yeah.
That's the shock. But I if you're talking about a combination, I wouldn't be unhappy with any combination with those three, and nor should we be, because Partey, given the form that he's in, does warrant a first team place. Yeah, Declan Rice, the amount of money that you pay for him, absolute talisman, man of the match for like 90% of the games last season, absolutely should be playing. Yeah, and Merino, as you said, our primary midfield target this year, and the only natural left-sided 8 we have. So let's just go and get this
Last
done,
question
man.
before I go through the lineup again and ask for predictions. Cool. Who starts on the left? Who starts on the right with Sterling and Trossard there?
Depends on how you want to play. You've got one right footer, you've got one left footer. Do you want to cut inside? Do you want to go on the outside? Maybe it's something that they rotate throughout the game. Remember, I think we used to do it back in the day when it was Bukayo Saka, Aubameyang and Lacazette. They used to kind of rotate between each other depending on how the game was going. So maybe that is something that we can see in this game, given that both of our wingers have experience on both wings. So I would be interested to see how it goes.
I'm thinking about the defensive work, man, because Martinelli and Saka really chip in like that.
Yeah.
And what I was saying about Semenyo and what I was saying about Calafiori, I just think whoever Arteta trusts more defensively is going to be the one to play on the left. And just in terms of recovery pace,
who would you trust more on the left-hand side?
I haven't seen enough of Sterling in an Arsenal shirt to be able to tell you, man. That's the thing. I'll just be saying it for.
I think. Sorry, just to chime in here.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see where Merino plays, because if Merino plays the lefty, which I guess we used to see Rice play because we've had Rice for a lot longer. If Merino plays the lefty, I want Sterling to play on the left, because Merino's got that inside the defender pass for a winger to run on. You know what Xhaka did for Martinelli. A lot in that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of upset Martinelli's not playing, because then we would have our full left side there for once: Calafiori, Merino, Martinelli.
Yeah.
But we've got Calafiori, Merino. Sterling's attributes, they suit that style of, you know, passing behind man to run onto it. So if Merino's the left 8, I'll say Sterling on the left wing suits. But if he's the right 8, then maybe Sterling on the right suits.
And I think that also makes sense, because if Merino's the left 8, I mean, people were constantly rattling off his defensive stats before he came in as well, right? And the fact that he's an absolute duel winner, and that's why Arteta wanted him, and that could maybe help out against someone like Semenyo as well. So that does make sense. But you know what, man? All I care about right now is these 3 points. Bro.
Yeah,
That's all I care about right now.
We're 1 hour from kickoff, people. Literally 60 minutes away. I'm going to go through the lineup one more time, and then we're going to get predictions, and then we're going to wrap it up. So whilst I'm going through the lineup, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We're live again. 5:15 for the match day live and Bournemouth away. So the lineup is Raya in goal, a back four of White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Calafiori, Rice, Partey, and Marino in midfield. Is it a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3? We'll find out real soon. Sterling, Trossard, either side of Havertz. It's all up for debate at the moment in terms of who starts where around Havertz. But for now, we're assuming Marino is going to be the most attacking of the midfielders. But like I said, we're less than an hour away from kickoff. We'll find out then, people. Frank, prediction.
I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. Now, normally I would go for that bigger prediction against a lower side, lesser side in Bournemouth. But you mentioned obviously that we don't have that out and out creative midfielder in there. So I think there might be a few situations in the game where we do struggle to transition between defence and attack. So I'm going to go fairly low score, and I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0. Sheroy?
Away from home, so I'll go for a clean sheet. If we were at home, I would have said Bournemouth scored, which is perverse, by the way. The fact that
should be the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go nervy 1-0, I just don't think it's going to be the most free-flowing game. I think nervy 1-0.
Okay. I've predicted 3-1 all week. I can't lie, I'm leaning towards 2-1. I think it'll be a tighter game than I initially predicted, but I'm hoping Martinelli comes off the bench and bags the third. So I'm going to stick with 3-1.
All right.
So we got 2-0, we got 3-1, and we got
1-0.
1-0. All Arsenal wins. Let us know in the comment section your thoughts on the lineup and prediction for the game. But don't forget, in less than 45 minutes, 43 minutes to be exact, we are live again for Match Day Live. But don't forget to hit the like button here. Make sure you're subscribed here, and love for the love as always, people. Make sure you're tuned in for Match Day Live. Peace.